I noticed that the kitchen light would flicker whenever I told a lie. About 3 weeks ago, it flickered, just once. Right when I told my wife I was working late even though I wasn't. I barely noticed it. Figured it was just the old wiring acting up again in our 70s-era house. But then it happened again when I told my daughter her goldfish had gone to fish heaven, even though I'd just forgotten to feed it. The flicker was stronger this time. By the end of that week, I realized something disturbing. Every time I told a lie, no matter how small, the light in our kitchen would flicker. Little fibs like saying traffic made me late or bigger lies like what I did with our savings, all of them triggered it. I started testing it. I stood beneath the light and said, "The sky is green," flicker. "I'm 30, flicker. I love my job." That one made it stutter longer than usual, probably because I'd been lying to myself about that for years. My wife, Susan, noticed me staring at the ceiling more and more. One night during dinner, she asked why I kept looking up like I was expecting the roof to cave in. I said, "Nothing's wrong," out of habit, and the light flickered. She noticed, said we needed an electrician. I nodded, knowing full well I'd never call one. How could I explain this? That the kitchen light had become some sort of lie detector. The strangest part was how it changed me. I started avoiding the kitchen, ate breakfast in the living room, made coffee, and disappeared into the garage. But you can't avoid life forever. Yesterday, Susan cornered me in the kitchen. She wanted to talk about the credit card bills. $8,000 in charges, mostly at casinos. I said I'd call the bank, that it was fraud. The light responded with an ominous flicker. She looked at me and said, "Say something true." I was confused. "Say anything," she insisted. "Something you know is true." I said, "My name is David Kowalski." The light stayed steady. "I'm 42, still steady. I love you, steady." Then she asked the real question. "Have you been gambling again?" I told her no. And the light didn't just flicker, it pulsed. Violently. That's when she really saw it for what it was. She asked me again, softly this time, to tell the truth, and I did. I told her everything, that I never stopped gambling, that I lost the vacation fund, Emma's college savings, that I was in debt, serious debt, to people who don't take late payments. She leaned against the counter, eyes wide. "They're coming here?" she asked. "To our house?" "Yes," I whispered. "And you weren't going to say anything?" That's when her anger spilled out. Not just at me, but at the absurdity of it all. The light bulb, the lies, our life. "I hate this stupid light!" she yelled. I yelled back, told her I hated it too, that I couldn't live like this anymore, that maybe I'd been lying so long, I didn't even know how to stop. And then something odd happened. The light flickered again, but I realized it wasn't because of a lie. It flickered when I said I didn't know how to stop. That was actually true. That night, we sat under the light for hours. I told her everything, every secret, every time I'd broken her trust, and the light stayed calm. At the end, she asked me to promise I'd get help, real help, and I did. I promised I'd change. I promised I'd never lie again. The light stayed steady for most of that, but when I said I'd never lie again, it flickered once, then exploded, showering sparks and glass across the floor. We stood in silence, surrounded by the pieces. "I guess that promise was too big," she said quietly. "I guess so. But you'll try?" "Yeah, I'll try." She took my hand and said, "That's enough for now." We replaced the light the next day with a regular bulb. 2 weeks later, it hasn't flickered once. Not because I'm perfect. I still mess up, but I'm trying to be honest more than I lie. And for now, that's enough. For the light and for Susan.